The sponsors' couch is full. I love it. We have our intern in the house, Connor. We're going to have to throw him on the air at some point, right?
Oh, yeah.
Keep him busy. We have an intern here at the Rod Pedersen Show. Our director of scouting is here, Craig Smith. He'll be joining us a little later on. And we dive back into the topics of the day. Remps, what is on your mind, by the way? Because not a lot has changed. I know Clark was saying you wanted to know what we were going to talk about today. Well, there's the firing of Kavis Reed. There's this upcoming home-and-home with the Riders and BC Lions. What grabs you?
Well, that kind of stuff I can handle. I've been so busy the last couple of days. What my fear was is that there'd be more of an obscure subject that I maybe haven't had the opportunity. Just wanted to be able to kind of familiarize myself. But I can handle this stuff. Kavis Reed. Well, you know, I've always, and I hate talking about this kind of stuff, and I don't really want to get into it, but I've always heard that he's a bit of a different cat. And I've had former players tell me that they didn't really trust him. And that there might be a little bit of sketchy.com there. Mm-hmm. And I hate to...
He wouldn't be the first.
I don't know what else to say about that. And so usually when these types of things happen and the timing of these types of things... I mean, this is a team that's only played one home game, right?
Yep.
They're 1-0. It's not like they're a terrible football team. There's usually more to the story. It's not usually about wins and losses. There's something else going on here that we don't know about. And they've been asked about it, and they won't comment on it. They've been pretty coy about their answers. So I can't even begin to imagine what's going on. I don't know. I frankly don't really care that much. I'm not close to the guy. I don't know him. I don't wish any bad luck on him. I know that every time, like Armstead here shows up, the worst day of my life, I think, was back at the 13th man game in 2007. I make a point of watching my language and my conduct when I'm at sporting events. I'm not one of these guys that blurt out really, really bad things with women and children around. That 13th man.
That was everybody's bad day. Our worst day.
Went completely out the window.
Rage blackout.
I don't think anybody's holding it against you.
I behaved like an absolute maniac. So when I think of Kavis Reed, I think of the number 13, and it pisses me off every single time. But aside from that, in all seriousness, I don't know what's going on, but it can't possibly be because of football, because they actually look this year
respectable.
Like they may not be a terrible team for the first time in years.
Yeah.
So there's more to the story, and we may never know.
Yeah.
That's my take. What do you think?
I'm with you. It's their team. What other teams do is their business. But with Kavis gone, I'm liking the vibe that I'm seeing out of Montreal. Kahari Jones, who we've had here, is as good a guy as you're going to find. An outstanding coach. Our director of scouting, Craig Smith, nodding his head over there. He can talk about that. It looks like these guys are making the Alouettes great again.
Yeah.
Right? And they're a team that you could get behind. It's got a wonderful brand in the city of Montreal that Kavis and Andrew Wettenhall did their damnedest to ruin. But they're both gone. And now it's coming back.
Yeah.
You know, and they got the Edmonton Eskimos this week with what would be your vote, Dupes, for Canada's Game of the Week, right?
Yeah, it would be. You know, and I said this at the beginning because beginning of the year, because, you know, the reports I was reading, people who were down there on the sidelines, reporters that were near the Montreal sideline during the preseason, saying it was just in complete disarray. And now that Mike Sherman's gone, the team actually has a chance to win some games, and all of a sudden, we're starting to see that, you know, with Kahari Jones taking over, and now with, you know, Wettenhall and with Kavis now out the door, really cleaning house, and that's a good thing. And I believe the reports at the CFL had their hands in it, because they're looking to sell this team. They're looking to transfer into new ownership and a new era of Alouettes football. And if the new owners, they wanted him gone, they wanted this cleaned up, great. It's like selling a car, right? You keep coming back, and it's like, oh, it needs new tires. It needs new tires. It needs new windshield. Well, get that fixed,
and then
sell it, right?
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden, this team is looking like a commodity again. If the community can buy in, the fans start showing up again. You've got a clean front office. You've got a good on-field product. Montreal was a crown jewel in the CFL
well, at least their head
for a lot
coach
of years.
Can take a headset off now.
That too. Looks a lot better.
Making fun of coaches because they couldn't figure out how to get the cord out through their shirt.
Wasn't that classic, Mike?
It was funny.
And nobody would have cared if he won football
I just didn't like people were making fun of him because I think he's a football guy. He's done a lot. And here's people making him look like an old fuddy-duddy.
That was hilarious.
Oh, it was very funny. But it's like it was funny that night, not for weeks after the fact. But anyways, we need to get back to the topic of the day that we have hit on here, and that is Bo Levi Mitchell injured enough to stay on the 6-game injured list in Calgary, or is he being stashed there by John Hufnagel so they can get a look at Nick Arbuckle, and maybe he's the quarterback of the future, and it's time to move on from Bo Levi Mitchell and his $700,000 a year salary. So that spawned our daily poll for Capital Autoball Universal Collision Center. Should the Riders investigate a trade for Bo Levi Mitchell? Should they make the trade for Bo Levi? It looks like our Twitter poll, the respondents are saying yes, and our Facebook poll is saying no. But the interesting thing, and we got to look, everybody's weighing in on this. Dallas watching from Toronto this morning. Here's a realistic trade for you. Want to make it? Huff's asking for Marshall, Moncrief, Bladdock, and 2 to 3 first-round draft picks. So,
because of course Dallas knows.
Everybody's making the trade now. I like the one about John Lynch from Trevor Stoico, who's watching from Edmonton this morning. Can you bring that back up from Trevor? You trade Bo Levi Mitchell for John Lynch because he knows Jesus personally and is the same age. The meth-infested Gainer, the entire practice roster of the Riders, and half the cast of Corner Gas.
Stoico.
This is the trade for Bo Levi Mitchell. You get half the cast of Corner Gas, Gainer, and the Riders practice roster.
You know what? How you can do that on the Instagram stories where you ask a question? I'm going to put that on our show's Instagram story. What should the Riders trade? And see how many creative answers like that we get.
So furthermore,
Stoico.
There are football people in Calgary that are not connected to the Stampeders. These are the people that I'm talking to. This is where this is coming from. There's something going on. Where there's smoke, there's fire, is all we're hearing. Not necessarily to the point where Bo Levi Mitchell is trade bait, but it might be going that way. And the one interesting thing is they talk about attendance in Calgary, and the Stampeders are playing to 10,000 empty seats at every home game. And they're saying, well, they played on Canada Day long weekend, and they played on August long weekend, and people are at the lake. Well, tonight's Thursday night football. The Argos are there. That place better be filled then, because nobody's going to the lake. It's Thursday.
Should
know what I'm saying? Like, enough with the excuses. Not just in Calgary. I mean, across the country. Well, the guy said the Argos are here. They're a crappy draw. The Flames sell out against Columbus on a Monday. So don't go there either.
I don't buy that.
Go to the game tonight in Calgary. And furthermore, because of lack of buzz or interest with the Stampeders, which is what I hear is the case, you want headlines? Here's a headline. Calgary Sun tomorrow. Bo on the block? Can you imagine? Front page of the Calgary Sun. That would shake people up.
Holy
That's what they need. They need a little buzz, a little chutzpah in that town. What do you think?
I agree with you. But, I've been saying this for years. I'm glad you bring that up. Going back to my marketing days in junior hockey. You can make all the excuses that you want to about why people aren't coming. If people want to come, they'll find the money.
Absolutely.
Don't talk to me about that there's a recession and there's this and there's that. When Garth Brooks came, they sold 90,000 tickets just like that, and people were willing to pay for that.
Are you talking about the Saskatoon concert or this one here?
Well,
the one in August?
Saskatoon, they sold out 6 shows. This one here. If there's an event that comes through that people want to see, they will find the money to go. The reason that people aren't coming to CFL games right now, as I shouldn't say they're not coming, that attendance is down. Popularity or interest seems to have dropped a little bit for whatever reason. Don't blame scheduling, because they played 2 different nights on 2 different times and they didn't sell out either game here. Okay? Now, it's not a disaster here. They're still running at about 90% capacity. I have to remind people of that. It's not a disaster when you got 33,000 tickets and you're getting 30,000 coming to games. They've still had sold 60,000 tickets. Come on. But in some of these other markets, the reason that they're getting 25 and 30,000 people in Edmonton is not because they're playing on a Friday instead of on a Sunday. It's because for whatever reason, people aren't interested. It's simple as that. And, I mean, if it's all about winning, why aren't they going in Calgary? All they do is win year after year. Maybe they're bored of winning. Maybe they need to finish
We've been saying that
for
for a few years. But maybe they
don't appreciate what they have there.
They don't appreciate what they have. This Bo Levi Mitchell controversy might be exactly what they need in that town just to get people talking. And you know what? Maybe we need to go out and watch that Arbuckle boy and see what he's all about. So again, I know there's a lot of things to do in Southern Alberta on the weekends. Well, it's a Thursday night, and Nick Arbuckle's starting. So get down to McMahon Stadium tonight and watch the game. That's all that I'm saying. Conan continues to watch from Calgary. Conan Daly, longtime Stamps radio statistician. He says Calgary had to import some good Saskies for tonight's game. The Northern Pikes. She ain't pretty. She just looks that way.
Yeah.
That song came out
like
when I was when I was going to college in Calgary, Mount Royal, when that homely-looking secretary kept getting prettier and prettier. Joe Rockhead.
At the Christmas party.
At the staff Christmas party, yes. Regarding the trade for Bo Levi Mitchell, half the cast of Corner gassed Gainer the Gopher in the Riders practice roster going for Bo Levi Mitchell. Ian Daniels wants to know in the Facebook feed, is that new Gainer or old Gainer?
He said the meth infested.
So that would be the new Gainer.
Yes.
From Clark on Twitter, send us your crazy Bo Levi Mitchell trades now. Wrong answers only, please. What are you showing me on your phone?
It's on Instagram.
What is it? What it is?
Yep. No, the question's up. So you can put it on there too if you're on the
This
Instagram
is more
feed.
entertaining than if you were to ask people if to be serious, because that's actually one of those things that has for years has made me laugh hysterically. These guys that say, just as an example, but they would say, if I was the GM, I'll tell you what I'd do. I'd trade this guy and this guy and this guy for Bo Levi Mitchell. I would make that happen.
The armchair
But how
GM.
do you know that the general manager on the other side of the phone is going to take your wonderful deal? He's probably not going to. To something that you said earlier, Darren, these things are hard to do. Craig knows that. He's sitting over there. It's not like there aren't 46 moving parts that all have to come together. It could be something as simple as this. Listen, we're willing to make this. I'm just throwing this out hypothetically. We're willing to make this trade, but this guy needs to commit that he wants to come here and he's willing to either do a contract extension or come here for a long time. Because we're not going to do this. Essentially run the risk of really annoying our backup quarterback now that we've given an opportunity for 3 games, and then find out that at the end of the year or at the end of the next year, he has no intention of coming back. And maybe the player says, no, I'm not interested in that. So it's not that you didn't want to trade him. It's that you couldn't get a long-term commitment out of him. Maybe there's a player that you would be willing to trade for Bo Levi, but he's refusing to be traded. He's got I guess there's probably not many no trade clauses in the CFL. But the point is, there's so many moving parts in these things that to say, well, just, give him an offensive lineman and a defensive back and, throw in Solomon Means. He struggled in the last game. Just throw him in the deal.
Yeah, but we're getting into NHL terminology here where the Stamps would be shedding salary by moving Bo Levi Mitchell here to Saskatchewan, and maybe the Riders would be willing to take that on because, as I said earlier, the Riders tried to sign him in February. They offered him that wage, so here's your opportunity to get him at a lesser deal because Calgary may want to move him. Haley writing in on the Facebook wall, she says, I'm going to the Calgary game tonight. Should I wear my Rider pride? Don't ask questions. You know the answers to, Haley. Of course you should wear Rider green to the game tonight. I love those games in McMahon. Every time the Stamps play, you see people in Rider gear at them.
Yeah.
And there was one the other night, Ottawa, Montreal. There was a Rider fan there, too. Heck, the Raptors in Game 5 against the...
Didn't you know who those guys were?
No, never did find out who those guys were in Game 5 of the NBA Finals.
Yeah, we didn't, did we?
They're clearly rich. Do you know what those seats were worth?
Oh, God.
I think $23,000 a pop.
Yeah,
is kind of
sounds right to me.
Is that the StubHub price or the actual price? Oh, my God.
No.
what they paid is the actual price, right? You're the marketer.
Yeah, but
it's
I'm
market value.
I'm saying there's a big difference between getting them for the $1,200 they
I see what
probably
you're
were on Ticketmaster and the guy that's going on StubHub
Yeah.
and he's basically willing to mortgage his house to go to a basketball game.
Who were those guys?
Don't they have a guy that fellow? I don't mean to. I apologize for this, but the fellow with the turban.
Yeah.
He goes to every game something.
He's been to every Raptor game in their history.
Since 1995?
What's his name
He's
again?
a super fan. I forget his name. I apologize.
Mark Cuban even identifies this guy as being the single greatest fan in the National Basketball Association. He says he's just this guy's unbelievable.
You're watching Rod Pedersen on demand. For more of the Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.